Yo, what is up, guys? Shinobi here, back again on another video for you guys. And today we got a pretty interesting video today. I'm not gonna lie to you. Seems that China is not too happy with the newest update. And for those of you guys who are not in the know, it's mostly talking about the MOC 13. That is basically the end game, or at least one of the end games outside of pure fiction. So apparently, we're kind of having that bullet sponge problem that Genshin's having at the moment. And the only way to get past that bullet sponge problem, like in Genshin, is to basically be trying to summon for the new characters. Like, it's basically trying to bait you into summoning for the new characters. And the Chinese community ain't having it. You already know that if the Chinese community ain't having it, then hey, shit, you know shit's bad when they are the ones complaining, because they're the ones that Hoyo listens to in the first place. But either way, we're gonna see what Titan has to say about it. I would have to agree with him a lot on it. A lot of his points when it comes to just how gacha games have been acting, especially with Hoyoverse. And I know there's a lot of people that don't like him because of his takes. Like him or not, me personally, I think he's funny, but like him or not, he has been speaking some facts, and so have a lot of other creators who have been in this space for a while, especially ones who all started playing Genshin, which I think a lot of us, when it came to the gacha space, I mean, shit, we were playing either gacha games before Genshin came out, or Genshin was like the one that got us where we were. For me, it's here or there, but either way, I digress. I'm gonna stop yapping. Leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel for more. We talk a lot, about anime, gaming, all that stuff. We got a Discord down below as well. I'm gonna start streaming as well more, so make sure to go ahead and subscribe more for that. And let's go ahead and get straight into this, because I'm pretty curious on how this is gonna go.
With the displeasure that was the new MOC and Honkai Star Rail. So obviously,
I haven't done the new Memory of Chaos yet. I did the one before, but
in the new MOC.
All right, hold on. So yeah, no, this is what I was talking about before. So yeah. So with the last MOC that we had, which I did this one. With the last MOC they had, it was alright. And this one had less HP than now what we got right now, which is MOC. This is what this is, MOC 10, I'm pretty sure, yeah. Where there's more enemy health, like there's more health here on these 4 enemies alone, more than the last MOC 12. This isn't even 13, this is 12. But even still, these guys have more these guys got more health than the last one. And for those of you guys who are wondering why that's bad, well, going back to the bullet sponge analogy again, the reason that a lot of people don't like Genshin's endgame is it's basically just a damage check. If you ain't doing enough damage, then guess what? It doesn't matter what you do, you're just not going to beat it, which then incentivizes you to try and summon for more of the characters and get more copies of them. It's basically a really greedy process. And right now, it looks like Honkai Star Rail is kind of falling into that.
Then MOC 12 from 4 months ago. Now, obviously, there's some discrepancies because this boss is Nikador, and this boss has a lot of self-inflicted HP damage. However, in order to get the boss to do that much damage, you have to do more damage to the other enemies around him. So, to be honest, I still think it's a fair comparison. However, I understand if people want to disagree with that sentiment, because you need to do a lot of frequent attacks in order to take down Nikador. I currently, for the
I beat the last MOC using the team I had before with Firefly and Archron.
Worth my time. At this point, it's not even an end game that feels good to my brain, which sucks because Pure Fiction is ass. It's always been ass. It still is ass. But MOC,
Pure Fiction was a good idea for making it to where you can use older characters like Himiko and whatnot.
At a severe disadvantage, so I'm gonna wait for those buffs to kick in before I start playing again, or some unit to save Dot. I'm praying to God there's gonna be some unit that saves Kafka, that saves Black Swan. Anybody, I'm praying to God that's a character. But
honestly, I'm gonna be real with you when I say that as much as I enjoy Pinacone and everything like that, for those of you guys who watch me play that, these next patch notes that we're gonna get with the supposed the buffs that we're supposed to be getting for older characters, depending on how this goes, especially since the Chinese community is complaining about all this stuff. Because another problem with the bullet sponges is basically makes once again the older characters useless to play, which is bad. Because it used to be back then that you could play with any character in the game and still clear MOC, versus now we're at that point where it's like in Genshin where if you ain't got the meta characters, or at least some of the most recent ones, you're pretty much cooked. The 4-star characters are pretty much cooked outside of maybe 5 of them. And it sounds like I'm complaining a lot, but this is not good for a game like this, where the casual player is not going to be out here tryharding and going crazy and doing all the crazy stuff. The average player is going to try and sit down and play. And one of the bigger problems about this game right now is the fact that a lot of these characters, for the most part, it just completely ignore the elements that we have in the game with, the fire, ice, and all of that, which completely takes the strategy out of the game compared to back then, where you actually had to pull these characters, and it was a good thing because you'd want to get certain elements. Versus now you got characters like Firefly that can bypass it. You got characters like Archeron that can bypass it. A lot of the newer characters just straight up bypass a lot of the restrictions that would cause you to do less damage because you're not using the right element. Whereas now they just straight up either bypass it or just have some crazy thing that just gets by it. And I know a lot of people are talking about Silverwolf, but I don't think Silverwolf was the catalyst for this because she wasn't even that good. She was definitely a breakthrough for this to happen, but I think Archeron is really where it started. But I digress.
Problem is now this has gotten over to China. And China is where they take this shit seriously. If China has an issue, then we should all have an issue. Because Chinese players pretty much accept any fucking slop that goes on in this game with a smile. However,
He ain't wrong there, man.
so a new Reddit article was posted.
For you should see Epic 7, bro. We should have gotten a buff for Pirate Flan in Epic 7. But because a bunch of Chinese players on Stove started just complaining about it, or a bunch of people on Stove complained about it, bro, we didn't get it. We were supposed to get a buff for another character just recently in Epic 7, and that got pulled back for some reason, because for some reason, I guess, like, once again on Stove, some certain people started complaining about it, and then they said, nope, now we gotta wait. It's crazy, bro.
Chinese comments in the new MOC. Credit to u/WongYan145 for translating. I believe that user Wong Yan attempted to submit this themselves originally, but they got filtered for minimum account karma, which was deleted by HSR. You want to know why? Because this was an anti-HSR post. This was the original comment, which was this. This MOC was hard, man.
That was only floor 10. Damn.
Floor 10. Now, I don't know what the fuck they were doing releasing that in the game state when they know the older units can barely be used.
I'm about to say, yeah.
This is just bait to get players to pull for Trivia and to pull for My Day.
It's literally bait. Like, anybody with a freaking brain could see that it's bait. Because you gotta think about it from a perspective of somebody who wants to be able to beat MOC or something like that. If you care about that. Me personally, I just do it because, I like the end game. Or at least I did. I don't know about this new game. I might have to try it out. I might have to try out this new MOC and see how bad it is. Because it sounds like it's pretty bad. But it's basically bait to be like, hey, if you want to beat this, hey, you're going to need to pull some more characters, which means that, especially for those other people who are free to play or just not big spenders, you got to spend a little bit more money. It's kind of the same thing that Genshin has a problem with, where it's like, hey, if you want this certain feature, if you want to be able to beat this, certain end game, especially for the Abyss, you might need these characters. Pretty sure there was a video where it's like, we reacted to it a couple days ago where they was talking about Withering Waves in Genshin and how apparently in the current Abyss, or at least the Abyss that I saw in that video, I don't know if it's still current, but you need Natling characters to basically be able to break shields on some of the characters in those Abyss towers. And if you don't break it in time, according to what I've seen, you will instantly just get one-shotted. Like, if you don't have a character that just does a lot of normal damage, like Eula or Arch, you're cooked. You're cooked. Like, it's basically trying to force you to pull for the Natling characters. and it is super predatory, which is really, really bad. And I feel like Honkai Star Rail, unfortunately, is getting to that point, which is why I feel like there's a lot of people, especially in the international community, that are kind of waiting to see what they are going to do, especially now that the Chinese community is complaining about it. And I feel like this right here is our Genshin 1.5. This right here is the moment where Honkai Star Rail either decides to go down the road with Genshin and completely just shaft their player base and just not listen to them, or they'll start fixing stuff because, especially with the Chinese community complaining, then it's like, okay, now we gotta start, doing something. I feel like that's the point we're in right now. So, me personally, I feel like there's no way in hell that anybody should be happy about how MOC is looking right now because it's looking pretty bad. And once again, the main thing is the fact that all the older characters that we used to be able to use are absolute trash right now and just not able to be used in the current MOC or even the current endgame because they're just getting power crept to hell. We'll see what they do. Once again, that's what a lot of people are waiting for, is to, see what this new upgrade is that they said they were going to do for the newer characters. So, I digress. We'll see.
Which is fine. Business is doing business's things, but the problem is China is rioting over Honkai Star Rail. These are the comments going on for Chinese Bilibili. This MOC became a hot topic on official Star Rail post on Bilibili. Around 33,000 comments. Does this sound familiar? Yes. The Zhongli situation comes to mind.
The Zhongli situation, that was nuts.
I tried to translate some of these comments to English. It might not be 100% correct, but it's...
For anybody who doesn't know what the Zhongli situation was, Zhongli, when he first came out in Genshin Impact, was absolute garbage, like straight trash. It was so bad because a lot of people spent money to pull him and like do all this stuff. It was so bad that he's the only character that, as of right now, that I know of, he's the only character that I remember they actually went and buffed. Which, for anybody who knows, how Genshin operates, that's the only time they actually decide to listen to their player base and fix a problem. Other than that, they haven't done it since. Like, I'm pretty sure Zhongli is the only character they buffed, and they should have buffed freaking Daya. Daya got shafted, and she still has the same problem that she has before. But yeah, that Zhongli situation was nuts. Same situation. China complains. They fixed it.
Let the planners devs play Abyss MOC. Not for anything else. I just want to see the show effect. What this is referring to is the Chinese people believe that the devs themselves are not playing the game.
Which I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if they did not put that MOC in there.
I'm struggling to do the MOC using Dot with Eidolons, which is honestly really not...
Which is bad. If you're struggling to get through the endgame with Eidolons, it's really, really bad, because the whole thing, once again, is supposed to be that you could be able to beat, or at least that's how it was back then, you should be able to beat these endgame contents without having to go and get an E2 of anything, or even you shouldn't even have to get the light cone. Like, you should be able to play with the in-game stuff that is free to play and still be able to do the end-game. Now, will it take you some skill a little bit to do it? Maybe. But you should still be able to do it and make it not feel miserable, versus now, where it feels like this MOC that we got right now, you need to have like an E2 of certain characters and all this other crap. You gotta have, certain light cones from 5-star characters, and it shouldn't be that way. You should be able to go into MOC, like I was talking about before, where you had people out there doing 4-star runs, where it's like, okay, we're going to take these 4 stars and 1 5-star, and we're going to run it and be able to beat it. It was still a challenge, but it was doable, and it didn't feel terrible. Versus now, where it's like, bruh, only maybe a couple 4 stars are useful, and even then, there's some 5 stars that just do it better. So why you bother use the 4 stars, And it's really, really bad.
But for other games like Genshin Impact, you can really tell that the devs are not playing their game. Hence why there's still no artifact loadouts in Genshin or HSR with 2 years and 4.5 years respectively. If the devs were to play their own game, they would see their own flaws a lot quicker than waiting for the players to have to tell them what's wrong with their own game. Let's continue on here. I strongly suggest letting your game planner devs live stream using a normally leveled low gold team to clear Abyss MOC. I wanted to see how skilled the gameplay really is. I released an Abyss clear, not sure if it's out yet, but on one team I use new characters. And with the new characters, I can auto the damn game. Auto it. With the new teams, I can zero cycle it. With no healer, and no brain. I am not a good Honkai Star Rail player, and that's what's important, is that this is for the everyman. The everyman needs to be able to clear this game. Mr. Pokey going live, clearing things, does not matter. Okay? It doesn't. It doesn't matter. Dreamy clearing shit does not matter. That Zalzu Tethos person doesn't matter. You know when it matters? When the everyman can clear it. That is me. That is what I attempt to be in every single one of these games. I am not a sweat. I am not a tryhard. I am the target demographic. The people who play just a little bit because they enjoy the game and then they quit, because those are the people who are going to be making up 99% of your audience.
Basically, most of the audience who's playing Honkai Star Rail, if they're playing for the story especially, are going to be the people who are not going to be probably summoning for every single character. A lot of them are probably not going to be wailing for the game. They're not going to be tryharding for the game. They're basically not going to... A lot of them aren't even going to be content creators. And those are the people that would, back then, be able to hop into the game, get their characters out, 4-star or 5-star, build a team, and just jump in. No E2, no needing to get replicas of characters. You could just get an E0 of every single character and be fine. You wouldn't need to get all the other ones. As far as, getting replicas of the character or light cone. That's how it was. Now, if you wanted to get those replicas, hey, go for it, But at the end of the day, you can clear everything at E0, which is why with my account, a lot of my characters are E0 because, hey, I don't need to go and get, all these E1, E2, and all that, whatnot. And if I do have some characters that are like that, it's probably because either I lost my 50-50 and got a dupe of it, and that's usually the standard banner characters, or I got really lucky and got 2. And I'm pretty sure the only ones that I got 2 of, or 2 copies of right now, is I got an E1 Acheron, and I think that's it, actually. I think that's the only one as far as a limited banner goes. I think that's the only one that I have more than 1 copy of. Now, the standard banner characters, we probably all have multiple copies of at least someone in there, so that's just going to happen. But it should be that with the characters that we do have, especially for limited banner characters, which are the meta game, you should only need 1. You should only need 1 copy, and even then, the older characters should be able to at least keep up a little bit. They shouldn't be getting left behind to the point where they're completely useless.
These people who zero cycle in Honkai Star Rail, these people who do hitless runs, Danjin solo runs, and Wuthering Waves, they don't matter, because those are not the people who are playing in mass. I went into MOC, and I got my shit kicked in, and it wasn't fun. It was just unenjoyable. And the only thing I thought was, yeah, maybe I can play better and do 20% better, but the new teams are going to be able to clear what I cleared in 8 cycles in 1 cycle. And it just feels disheartening.
Yeah, it's basically like, why bother using older team characters? Or why bother using your favorite characters that were released maybe months ago when you can go and buy our new ones instead? That's basically the kind of feel it's giving, and it doesn't feel good. Me personally, once again, I want to see what they do, because they said they're going to buff older characters, but I'm really curious on what they're going to do. Because Hoyoverse has a tendency to do this thing where they act like they're listening, but then they do something completely different that the players don't want. Like, they're talking about buffing characters, but what instead of buffing the characters, they throw in a 4-star that's supposed to help support that character. That's not what we want. Or they say they're going to buff the older characters, but instead of buffing the older characters, they put in a character that basically is a better version of them. And I'm pretty sure we got Triby, who's supposed to be crazy buffer, and we got the newer character who's supposed to be coming out, who's basically a better version of Blade. It's like Blade 2.0. So, we'll have to see. I think that's what a lot of people are waiting on. Like, once again, I was talking about this in the beginning of the video. This is that moment right now where, it's like, what are they going to do? Are we going to go down the Genshin route, or are we going to go down the route that Honkai Star Rail was known for, which is why we had the whole Genshin could never meme running around in the first place, where they actually cared about their player base? We'll see, especially, once again, since the Chinese community is even complaining about it. Usually when it's the Americans complaining about it or the international community complaining about it, they don't really put too much attention on it. But now they got the Chinese community on their ass, the ones they actually care about. Well then, well, well,
And
we'll have
this
to
is a new
see.
feeling that I've had for Honkai Star Rail, and I really don't like the direction in which this is going. Because now the Chinese are upset, Japan's upset, and I'm upset. And I never thought I would actually be legitimately upset with Honkai Star Rail because the gameplay was very good. You guys have seen my videos, I say it all the time. I love the gameplay for Honkai Star Rail, it's very fun. It's not feeling that way anymore. And the story slogged, the combat slogged, and it's feeling pretty bad, guys. It is feeling pretty bad. So I do want to encourage you, if you see people defending this, if you see people not speaking out constructively, I encourage you to do so. To encourage them to actually speak their mind. To encourage them for a couple of seconds to pull their head out of their ass and see the reality, which is a barren wasteland of people who were once happy, now dead, angry on the floor, seeking new pastures. We should all want this game to do good. And right now, we should all acknowledge it's not in a good state.
Like I said earlier, we are at that point in time where this is the Genshin effect. It has finally caught up to Honkai Star Rail, and we are now at that point in time. We are now at that time where it's like, this is do or die kind of for Honkai Star Rail. Where it's like, with Genshin, the reason why Genshin's in the state that it's in is because we had people who knew there were problems, but instead of talking about the problems, they instead shilled for the game and acted like nothing was wrong. And they even went after people and attacked people who were pointing out the problems that were in Genshin Impact, which then caused it to have this toxic positivity thing where you cannot criticize Genshin even when it has problems. And this is why we're having the issues that we have right now. And there's a lot of content creators that are feeling the burnout, even the ones that are making money, and they're switching over. They're switching over. There's a lot of content creators that I've seen recently that have quit Genshin completely and switched over to Withering Waves just due to the problems that it has. And apparently Withering Waves with their contracts, they have, it's just like you're eating good over there. So I digress. Once again, we're in that time frame now where it's like do or die. Once again, Chinese community even complaining about it makes it even worse because they usually don't complain at all.
It's legitimately just not in a good state. I don't want to see this.
Epic 7 supremacy.
A new Genshin.
Epic 7's got its own issues.
About how the game felt pretty poor, and I was being constructive about the gameplay. I might have had a couple bits of information slightly off. I could have E'd when I autoed. I could have. But to see the raw, visceral, feral reaction of some of the angered fans of the game, it made me feel like I was back in Genshin 1.5 again. It made me feel like I was back in Sumeru, where you can't even constructively criticize the game without these ferocious, mentally retarded chatters who've been chilling in whatever pussy hugbox, Discord, or Reddit they've been taking association with and saying, I'm having fun, which means the rest of you are having fun, which just really isn't a good place to be. I don't want to see Honkai Star Rail become the new Genshin. Bet you didn't see this coming. The strategy game actually refers to gacha strategy, aka the strategy in this game is just planning your polls and having the newest unit and getting lucky on the banners.
That's basically it.
Really not good advertising.
That's not good.
I remember in 1.0 where 4 stars were enough, where E0, S0s were enough. It doesn't feel that way anymore.
That's how it should be. It was a thing back then that when Lynx was revealed, and we had Bailu as our only other healer at that point in time. For those of you guys who remember, we had Lynx that came out, and that was a 4-star character. Had cleanse, had better healing, had even a ability where when she put her heal on you, she'd draw the opponent's attention to the person you're trying to heal. And normally you'd put that on Trailblazer because he was your tank, he or she, depending on which one you got. But it used to be like I was talking about earlier, when you could just pull a character once and be fine. And how there were even times where there was 4-star characters that were doing better than the 5-star characters. And I'm pretty sure actually right now, Payla right now is still better than Silverwolf because she has defense shred on the whole entire field versus Silverwolf, who is single targets. But I digress. He is correct.
It really doesn't. I am praying to God these balance patches fix the fucking game. I believe the first wave of balance patches helps Silverwolf, Zila, and Yang Jing. Will it be enough? I don't really know.
Yeah, this is it. So. Moment of truth.
And I really hope that the longer the game goes on, the more balance patches go out. Yang Jing, who asked? I don't know.
I'm
The
asking.
devs
The
might as
fuck?
well just write
Buff my boy.
characters not in the current banner are prohibited.
Buff my
And
boy,
enjoy
bruh.
your miss next
Yang
time.
King, bruh.
Once again, another player, Chinese player, disgruntled with the fact that if you're not using the new units, the new Abyss feels like shit. Event rewards are becoming fewer and fewer. Companion tasks aren't being released at all.
Yo, what happened to that? There used to be those companion things that you could do. What happened to those? When a new character came out, there used to be those companion tasks that you'd be able to do with the characters. And I didn't do them all the time, but I did do them. So what happened?
Increasing rapidly, and old characters are practically useless. New characters are being released at lightning speed, and their mechanics are forcefully tied to constellations and light cones. Does not feel good, guys. Can Abyss MOC have a payment code? $10 for an extra cycle.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. If that ain't comedy,
It's a
I don't know
cycle,
what
man.
it
It's
is.
happening.
But now that China's getting upset, I expect to see legitimate change in the near future. Because once China's upset, then great. Why don't you start a live broadcast of the Planet Fight the Abyss? If nothing else, I just want to see the effect of the show. With 11,500 upvotes. That means that it's not the vocal minority.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not the vocal minority. Look at this. If you are a secondary gamer, then please do not have 2 5-star characters in each version. Ordinary people can fight through 3 abysses, and the burden of character development should be reduced. Don't let the characters be eliminated before the instruments are completed. If you are a main gamer, then have more activities. Don't have just the materials double in the second half of the activity. I think they're talking about putting more content in for everybody, like just for main gamers, or just even for people who care about clearing MOC and all that. I think they're trying to talk about that. The translation might be rough.
Jordy.
You know it's serious
Guys.
when China cries about it.
Oh, yeah. Guys, this is serious. And this is bad. I mean this genuinely, and I hate to say this. People acting like Honkai Star Rail right now, they're the biggest enemy to Honkai Star Rail. If you actually care about this game, if you actually give a if you're not just doing this for money, if you're not just doing this because you're a shill, you would acknowledge this game is in a very bad spot. I don't want to see anybody defending the malpractice in this company right now because we need legitimate change.
Yeah.
Because when China's upset, you know it's serious. So get your head out of your ass. Don't villainize the people being truthful, and just acknowledge the game is not in a good spot. Thank you very much. I'll be moving forward. Bye-bye.
Yeah,
So,
that's pretty much the gist of it. We are in that point in time where, just like Genshin, the game has problems, big problems that need to be fixed. And I don't know how this is gonna go, but at this point in time, I'm hoping we're not making the same mistake that we made before, where people are criticizing Honkai Star Rail, and then you just have a bunch of people trying to jump on them and say the game is fine, even though it's not. And then we just go down the same road that Genshin is going, and then everybody leaves the game, and then all the hard work and everything that they put into this game just goes to waste. And then Zenless Zone Zero will probably catch the same fate because you already know how this is going to go. People are going to move from Honkai Star Rail just like they moved from Genshin, and then move straight to Zenless Zone Zero, and then Zenless Zone Zero is going to get the same problem, and then, then at that point, you might as well just play Wuwa. But yeah, no, I agree that this game definitely has a problem. It needs to be fixed. There should be nobody praising what they did with MOC. There should be no reason why they're praising what they're doing with the characters, why older characters can't keep up with the newer ones, and why, they're basically useless. You can't even use them at all without feeling terrible. And yeah, and we'll see. Me personally, I agree with his points, and I want to know what you guys think down below too. For those of you guys who play the game, I want to know what you guys think, because I just got done doing 10 hours of Pentaconi. I love this game. The story was peak. And even though there's a little bit too much yapping, which I heard they're going to fix, I still liked the story. Presentation could have been a little bit better, but I don't want to see this game go the same road that Genshin has, where they're just not even trying anymore. They did good in Fontaine as far as the story, but they still had the problems that it has as far as gameplay. But then in Natlan, they didn't even bother trying, which is why Natlan's a big controversy right now. I don't want to see this game go down that same road. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Let me know what you guys think. And I'm gone.